Captain Jake Morrison looked out the window of his ship and saw nothing but stars. The USS Endeavour had been flying for 6 months now, farther from Earth than any human had ever gone. Jake was tired but excited. This was what he had dreamed of his whole life. "Captain, we're getting something strange on the sensors," said Lisa Park from her seat at the engineering station. She was the best engineer Jake had ever worked with. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she tried to understand what they were seeing. Tony Blake, the ship's navigator, turned around in his chair. "It's big, Captain, really big. And it's not moving." Jake walked over to look at the screen. In the distance, they could see a massive structure. It looked like a space station, but it was unlike anything humans had ever built. The metal was dark and covered with strange patterns that seemed to glow softly. Maria tried to contact them. Jake said to the communications officer, Maria Santos, had been trying to pick up radio signals from other worlds for years. She had never found anything before. Now her hands shook a little as she worked. "I'm not getting any response, Captain. But there are definitely electronic signals coming from that thing." The structure was huge. As they got closer, Jake could see it was at least 10 times bigger than the biggest space station Earth had ever built. It was shaped like a ring, spinning slowly around a dead star that gave off almost no light. "Take us closer, but be careful," Jake ordered Dot as they approached. Dr. Amy Chung came to the bridge. She was the team's expert on alien life, though she had never actually seen any. "This is incredible," she said, staring at the screen. "Look at the design. No human would build something like this." The space station had been there for a very long time. That much was clear from the way some parts looked old and worn. But it was still working. Lights blinked in patterns across its surface, and they could detect power sources inside. "Captain, I'm picking up what might be a docking bay," Tony reported. "It looks like it's designed for ships about our size." Jake made a decision that would change everything for humanity. Take us in. The docking bay opened automatically as they approached. Inside, the Endeavour fit perfectly, as if the station had been waiting for them. The air was breathable, which surprised everyone. As soon as they landed, Jake put on his spacesuit and led a small team outside. The inside of the station was dark, but their lights showed walls covered with symbols and pictures. Amy took photos of everything while Lisa scanned for technology they might understand. "Captain, look at this," Amy called out. She was standing in front of a wall covered with images. The pictures showed different types of creatures. Some looked almost human, but others were very different. There were beings with multiple arms, others that looked like they were made of crystal, and some that seemed to float in the air. "These are records," Amy said, her voice full of excitement. "This is like a library or museum. And look here." She pointed to one section of the wall. "These pictures show spaceships fighting each other. Big battles with hundreds of ships." Jake studied the images. The battles looked fierce and destructive. Whole planets seemed to be burning in some of the pictures. "How old do you think this is?" "Very old," Amy replied. "But there's more recent stuff, too. Look at this section." She moved to another part of the wall where the images looked newer and clearer. Lisa had found something even more interesting. "Captain, there's a computer system here. It's still active." She was looking at a panel covered with buttons and screens that showed strange symbols. "Can you access it?" Jake asked. "I think so. The technology is advanced, but some of the basic principles are similar to what we use." Lisa worked for several minutes, pressing buttons carefully. Suddenly, the screens lit up with information. The symbols meant nothing to them at first, but Amy was good with languages. She had studied ancient human languages and could see patterns in how symbols were used. After hours of work, she began to understand some basic meanings. "Jake, you need to see this," Amy said. Her voice was serious now, not excited like before. "This station has been watching Earth for thousands of years. These records show our planet, our cities, even our wars." Jake felt cold. "They've been spying on us?" "Not spying exactly. More like studying. And there's something else." Amy's fingers moved across the screen, bringing up new images. "There are two big groups of aliens fighting each other across the galaxy. They've been at war for hundreds of years." The images showed the two sides clearly. One group seemed to control through force and fear. Their ships were dark and angular, built for destruction. The other group's ships were more varied, as if different species had joined together to fight the first group. "The watching group calls the bad guys the Dominion Coalition," Amy continued. "The good guys are called the Free Worlds Alliance, and Earth. Earth was marked as too primitive to contact. We were protected by galactic law that says advanced species can't interfere with developing worlds." Lisa had been working on another part of the computer system. "Captain, there's recent activity logged here. Ships have been near this station. In the last few weeks." "What kind of ships?" Jake asked. "The bad kind," Lisa replied, pointing to the screen. "Dominion Coalition ships. They found this place." Tony had been monitoring their own ship's sensors. "Captain, we have a problem." "I'm detecting ships approaching our position. 3 of them, and they're not friendly." Jake looked around at his team. They were explorers, not fighters. The Endeavor had some basic weapons, but nothing that could fight real warships. "How long until they get here?" 20 minutes, maybe. Less. Amy was still working at the alien computer. "Jake, there's something else. The station's database shows that the Dominion Coalition eliminates species that learn about the war before they're ready. They call it preventing contamination." Jake understood immediately. By finding this station and learning about the Galactic War, humanity had crossed a line. The Dominion Coalition would not just destroy their ship. They would go to Earth and destroy humanity entirely. "Can we send a message to Earth?" Jake asked Maria. "Not from here. We're too far away, and these aliens are jamming our communications." Jake made another decision that would change everything. "Lisa, can you download everything from this database?" "I can try, but it will take time." "Do it. Tony, plot a course back to Earth, the fastest route possible. We need to warn them." As Lisa worked frantically to copy the alien files, Jake stared at the images of galactic war on the walls around them. Humanity was about to face its greatest challenge, and they didn't even know it was coming. The 3 Dominion ships were getting closer, and Jake knew they would have to run soon. But first, they had to get this information back to Earth. The future of the human race depended on it. Admiral Ben Carter sat in his office at the newly built Space Defense Command Center. The emergency message from Captain Morrison had arrived 3 days ago, and Ben had not slept much since then. The information was hard to believe, but the proof was clear in the alien files that Morrison had sent. Earth was no longer alone in the universe, and that was very bad news. "Sir, the President wants to see you," said his assistant, walking into the office. Ben grabbed the files and headed to the emergency meeting that would decide humanity's future. In the meeting room, President Diana Hayes sat with her top advisors. Everyone looked worried. General Ryan Mitchell, the head of Earth's military forces, was studying the alien ship designs on his tablet. Ambassador Alina Rodriguez, Earth's best diplomat, was reading the translation of the alien laws about primitive species. "Ben, tell me this is some kind of mistake," the president said as he entered the room. "I wish I could, Nom, but our scientists have confirmed it. The alien technology is real, and so is the threat. 3 Dominion Coalition ships chased Morrison back toward our solar system. They're coming, and they want to destroy us before we can interfere in their war." Elena looked up from her reading. According to these files, we have rights under galactic law. We should be protected as a developing species. Not anymore, Ben replied. By learning about the Galactic War, we've lost that protection. The Dominion Coalition sees us as a threat now. General Mitchell put down his tablet. How long do we have? Morrison estimates the Dominion ships will reach Earth in 2 weeks, maybe less. The room was quiet for a moment. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Earth's weapons were designed to fight other humans, not advanced alien warships. What about the other side? The president asked. The Free Worlds Alliance. Can they help us? Morrison's ship detected a damaged Alliance vessel in the outer solar system. It was trying to escape from the Dominion ships. We sent the USS Constitution to investigate. The Constitution was Earth's newest and biggest warship. Captain Elena Rodriguez was leading the mission, along with General Mitchell and a team of scientists and Marines. 3 days later, the Constitution found the Alliance ship drifting near Jupiter. The alien vessel was badly damaged, with hull, breaches, and failed engines. Inside, the crew was barely alive. Dr. Pete Johnson, Earth's best physicist, was amazed when he first saw the aliens. They were called Kelani, and they looked somewhat like humans, but with blue skin and 4 arms. Their captain, Zixstar, could speak through a translation device. Your species should not be here, Zixstar said weakly. He was injured and tired from the battle. The Dominion will destroy you for helping us. Elena stepped forward. We're not helping you because we want to. We're helping you because the Dominion wants to destroy us anyway. Maybe we can help each other. Zixstar looked surprised. You know about the war? We found one of your monitoring stations. We learned about the Dominion Coalition and the Free Worlds Alliance. We know they're coming to Earth. The alien captain tried to sit up. How many ships do you have? General Mitchell answered honestly. About 50 warships, but they're not very advanced compared to yours. Zixstar looked sad. 50 ships will not be enough. The Dominion is sending a full attack fleet. At least 200 ships. Dr. Johnson had been studying the damaged Alliance ship. Captain Zixstar, your technology is much more advanced than ours, but I noticed something interesting. Your tactics seem very rigid, very predictable. What do you mean? Zixstar asked. Pete pulled up the battle records from the alien ship's computer. Look at these fights. Both sides line up their ships in formations and shoot at each other until one side wins. It's like ancient naval battles, but in space. Elena was beginning to understand. On Earth, our military tactics evolved differently. We learned to be unpredictable, to use surprise and misdirection. General Mitchell nodded. We call it asymmetric warfare, using unconventional methods to defeat a stronger enemy. Zixstar listened carefully as the humans explained their military concepts. Combined arms tactics, where different types of forces work together. Guerrilla warfare, where smaller forces attack and disappear. Psychological warfare, designed to confuse and demoralize the enemy. These ideas are strange, Zixstar admitted, but perhaps that is why they might work. The Dominion has been winning because they can predict what we will do. They cannot predict what they have never seen. Dr. Johnson made an important discovery while working on the Alliance ship's computers. The alien computer systems use basic programming languages that are similar to ours. I think our computer viruses might work on their ships. Computer viruses? Zixstar had never heard of such things. Pete explained how humans used malicious software to attack enemy computers. We developed these techniques for fighting other humans, but they might work on Dominion ships too. Elena saw an opportunity. Captain Zixstar, what if we made a deal? We'll share our military tactics and computer techniques with the Alliance. In return, you help us defend Earth and give us some of your advanced technology. Zixtar thought for a long time. The Alliance Council would never approve such an agreement with a primitive species. We're not primitive in the ways that matter for this war, General Mitchell said firmly. We might not have your energy weapons or faster-than-light travel, but we know how to fight smart. Elena contacted the Alliance Council using the alien ship's communication system. The Council was a group of leaders from different species who had joined together to fight the Dominion. When they heard about Earth's situation, most of them wanted to abandon the humans. Earth is too far away, said one council member. We cannot spare ships to defend a primitive world. But Zixtar spoke up for humanity. Council members, I have seen human tactical thinking. It is unlike anything in our databases. They might be the key to finally defeating the Dominion. The debate went on for hours. Finally, the Council reached a decision. They would send a small fleet to help defend Earth, but only as a test. If humanity could prove their tactical abilities, in battle, the Alliance would consider them for full membership. Admiral Carter received the news with mixed feelings. Help was coming, but not much. 12 Alliance ships would arrive just days before the Dominion attack. Earth would still be vastly outnumbered. Dr. Johnson worked day and night with the Kelani engineers to understand their technology. He couldn't build energy weapons or faster-than-light engines in just a few days, but he could modify human systems to work with alien technology. Elena opened diplomatic channels with other neutral species, trying to convince them to help Earth. Most refused, afraid of Dominion retaliation. But a few small species offered to provide information about Dominion tactics and technology. General Nischel began training human forces in new techniques that combined human tactical thinking with alien technology. It was dangerous and experimental, but it was the only chance they had. As the deadline approached, Earth prepared for the most important battle in human history. The Dominion coalition was coming with overwhelming force, expecting easy victory. But they had never fought humans before. They were about to learn that technological superiority was not the only path to victory in war. Sometimes the most dangerous enemy was the one who fought differently than everyone else. The stage was set for a battle that would change the galaxy forever. The Dominion Coalition fleet appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system like a dark cloud of death. Supreme Commander Vorthik stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the primitive world that had dared to interfere in galactic affairs. 200 ships against their pathetic 50, he said to his officers. This will be over quickly. But Vorthik did not know that humans had been preparing for this moment, with help from the Free Worlds Alliance. Colonel Sam Wright stood in the command center on Earth's moon, watching the enemy fleet approach. Next to him, Admiral Katie Bell studied the tactical displays. Remember, we don't try to match their strength, Sam said into his communicator. We use their strength against them. The human fleet was spread across the solar system in a pattern that looked random to Dominion sensors. Traditional galactic warfare doctrine said fleets should mass together for maximum firepower. But humans had learned different lessons from their own wars. Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner sat in a modified space fighter, hidden in the asteroid belt. His ship looked like space debris on Dominion sensors, but it was actually packed with computer equipment and viruses that Pete Johnson had designed specifically for alien systems. All units, remember the plan? Admiral Bell's voice came through the communication system. We're not trying to destroy their fleet. We're trying to confuse them long enough for the real attack to work. The Dominion fleet moved toward Earth, in perfect formation, just as they had done in thousands of battles before. Their tactics were precise and efficient, developed over centuries of galactic warfare. Colonel Wright smiled grimly. Predictable, he said, just like Zixtar told us they would be. The first part of the human plan was misdirection. As the Dominion fleet approached Mars, They detected what appeared to be the main human defense force. 50 ships in traditional battle formation, ready to fight. Vorthik was pleased. The primitives are following standard tactical doctrine. Destroy them. The Dominion ships opened fire with their energy weapons, easily destroying the human fleet. But something was wrong. The explosions were too small, and there were no life signs detected from the destroyed ships. Decoys, reported a Dominion officer. Those were unmanned drones. While the Dominion fleet was attacking fake targets, the real human ships were moving into position. Sergeant Nicole Harper led a team of Marines in modified shuttles. Approaching the Dominion fleet from below, where their sensors were weakest at the same time, Alex Turner activated his computer systems. The viruses he launched were unlike anything the Dominion had ever seen. Human computer warfare was based on deception and misdirection, concepts that didn't exist in standard galactic military thinking. The first virus made Dominion sensors show false targets. Suddenly, their displays showed human ships everywhere, even though most of them weren't real. The second virus disrupted their communication systems, making it hard for ships to coordinate with each other. What is happening? Vorthik demanded. As his tactical displays filled with contradictory information, Commander Luke Foster, leading the real human attack fleet, chose that moment to strike. His ships came out of hiding behind Earth's moon, attacking the Dominion formation from the side. But they didn't attack the strongest ships first, as galactic doctrine suggested. Instead, they targeted the command and communication vessels. The human weapons were less powerful than Dominion energy cannons, but they were used in ways the aliens had never seen. Kinetic projectiles launched from railguns, designed to punch. Through energy shields that were meant to stop beam weapons. Nuclear missiles that split into multiple warheads. Overwhelming point defense systems. Sergeant Harper's Marines reached the Dominion flagship and began boarding operations. The alien crew was larger and stronger than humans, but they had never faced opponents who fought with such creativity and unpredictability. Nicole used the ship's own artificial gravity against the defenders, turning it on and off to disorient them. Her team moved through maintenance tunnels that the Dominion had never considered as attack routes. They used improvised explosives made from ship supplies to create chaos and confusion. Their tactics make no sense, one Dominion officer reported to Vorthik. They attack our strongest positions with their weakest forces, then disappear. They strike at systems we didn't know were vulnerable. The turning point came when Luke Foster implemented what humans called chaos protocols. Instead of following a rigid battle plan, he began making deliberately random tactical decisions. Sometimes his ships would attack, sometimes they would retreat, sometimes they would do nothing at all. This randomness was designed to defeat the Dominion's strategic computers, which tried to predict enemy movements based on past battle data. The computers couldn't predict what humans would do next, because the humans weren't following any logical pattern. Admiral Bell watched from the command center as the battle developed. "It's working," she reported to Colonel Wright. "The Dominion fleet is breaking formation. They don't know how to respond to our tactics." But the humans knew they couldn't win a straight fight. Their goal was to create enough chaos and confusion to allow the Free World's Alliance reinforcements to arrive. And tip the balance. Captain Zixtar brought 12 Alliance ships into the battle, just as the Dominion fleet was most confused. But instead of using traditional Alliance tactics, he followed the human battle plan. Attack pattern random, Zixtar ordered his fleet. Ignore military doctrine, follow human lead. The combined human Alliance force began using tactics that no one in the galaxy had ever seen. Ships would attack in small groups, then scatter in all directions. They used asteroids and space debris as cover, turning the entire solar system into a three-dimensional battlefield. Dr. Johnson's computer viruses continued to spread through the Dominion fleet. Some ships found their weapons targeting their own allies. Others lost navigation control and began flying in circles. The disciplined Dominion formation dissolved into chaos. Vorthik realized he was facing something completely new. "These humans fight like madmen," he told his officers. "They have no respect for proper military procedure. Should we retreat?" Asked his tactical officer. Vorthik considered this. The Dominion had never retreated from a battle against inferior forces. But these forces were not inferior in the ways that mattered. They were unpredictable, creative, and willing to take risks that no sensible military commander would consider. The battle continued for 6 hours, with neither side able to gain a decisive advantage. The Dominion had superior technology and numbers, but the humans had superior tactics and the element of surprise. Finally, Colonel Wright decided to try the most dangerous part of their plan. "All units, prepare for final assault," he ordered. "Time to show them what humans are really capable of." Every human ship and fighter converged on the Dominion flagship at the same time, attacking from every possible angle. It was a desperate move that violated every rule of space combat, but it worked. Overwhelmed by attacks from all directions, the Dominion flagship's defenses failed. Sergeant Harper's Marines reached the bridge and captured Supreme Commander VO, our single quotes THAK, with their leader captured and their fleet in chaos. The remaining Dominion ships finally did something that hadn't happened in centuries of galactic warfare. They retreated. As the human forces regrouped, Admiral Bell looked at the tactical displays with amazement. They had actually done it. 50 human ships and 12 Alliance vessels had forced 200 Dominion warships to withdraw. Colonel Wright was already thinking about what came next. "This is just the beginning," he told his officers. "They'll be back with more ships and better tactics. But now we know something important." "What's that?" Admiral Bell asked. "We know they can be beaten. And more importantly, the rest of the galaxy is going to know it too." The news of humanity's victory spread quickly through galactic communication networks. For the first time in centuries, the Dominion coalition had been defeated in open battle. The impossible had happened, and it changed everything. The free worlds. Alliance had found new hope. The Dominion coalition faced their first real military crisis, and humanity had announced its arrival on the galactic stage in a way that no one could ignore. The war for the galaxy was about to enter a new phase, with humans leading the way toward victory. News of the human victory at Earth traveled across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Commander Chloe Adams worked day and night with her communication team to broadcast the truth about what had happened. For the first time in 300 years, the Dominion coalition had been defeated in open battle. The reaction was immediate and dramatic. On worlds controlled by the Dominion, secret resistance groups began planning uprisings. Neutral species that had stayed out of the war started questioning whether the Dominion was really invincible. Most importantly, the Free Worlds Alliance began to believe they could actually win. Captain Rachel Stone received new orders from Alliance Command just 2 weeks after the Earth battle. She was given command of the first joint human-alien task force, with instructions to liberate 3 Dominion-held systems using the new tactics that humans had developed. Rachel's fleet was small by galactic standards, only 30 ships, but half of them were human vessels, crewed by officers who had fought at Earth. The other half were Alliance ships whose crews had been trained in human tactical methods. Major Kevin Ross served as Rachel's tactical advisor. He had studied every human military victory in history, from ancient battles to modern warfare. Now he was applying those lessons to galactic conflict. "The key is not to fight them the way they expect," Kevin explained to the mixed human and alien crew. "Every Dominion battle plan is based on centuries of predictable enemy behavior. We're going to give them something they've never seen before. Their first target was the Milor system, where the Dominion had enslaved a peaceful species called the Threnody. The system was defended by 40 Dominion warships, but they were spread across 3 planets in a standard defensive pattern. Rachel's fleet approached the system from an unexpected direction, using a route through an asteroid field that Dominion tactical computers had marked as impossible to navigate. Human pilots, trained to fly in Earth's chaotic space traffic, handled the dangerous approach easily. Remember, Kevin broadcast to all ships, we're not trying to destroy their entire fleet. We're trying to make them make mistakes. The attack began with what appeared to be a standard Alliance assault on the main Dominion base. But while the enemy was focused on that obvious threat, human special forces were already on the ground, led by Sergeant Nicole Harper. Nicole's team had learned new tricks since the Earth battle. They used Dominion transportation systems against them, hijacking cargo ships to get close to important targets. They turned the aliens' own security systems into weapons, using captured access codes to create chaos. In space, the battle followed the new human doctrine of unpredictable tactics. Rachel's ships would attack, and retreat, and attack again from a different angle. They used the planet's gravity wells to slingshot around obstacles, moving in ways that Dominion computers couldn't predict. The breakthrough came when Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner used an improved version of his computer virus. This new version didn't just disrupt Dominion systems, it actually learned from them, adapting and spreading faster than alien technicians could stop it. Their command ship has lost helm control, reported the colony officer monitoring Dominion communications. It's heading straight for the planet's atmosphere. Within 6 hours, the Mellor system was free. The Dominion fleet had been scattered, their ground forces captured or in retreat. The Threnody people were liberated after centuries of slavery. But the victory at Mellor was just the beginning. News of the liberation reached other systems, and rebellions began breaking out across Dominion space. Species that had been conquered generations ago suddenly remembered what freedom felt like. President Diana Hayes saw an opportunity that could change the course of the entire war. She requested an emergency session of the Galactic Council, the ancient governing body that supposedly represented all spacefaring species. The Council had not met in over 50 years. The Dominion Coalition had effectively controlled it by intimidating smaller species into submission. But the human victories had changed the political balance of power. Diana's speech to the Galactic Council was broadcast across known space. She stood before representatives of hundreds of different species, some friendly, some hostile, and many who were undecided about humanity's role in galactic affairs. For too long, this galaxy has been divided by fear, Diana began. Fear of the strong oppressing the weak. Fear of speaking out against injustice. Fear of fighting for what is right. She gestured to the images of human and Alliance ships fighting together. Humanity offers a different path. We offer partnership instead of domination. We offer hope instead of fear. We offer victory instead of endless defeat. The Dominion representative, Admiral Corthell, stood to respond. These humans are primitives who understand nothing of galactic order. Their chaotic methods will bring destruction to all civilized worlds. Diana faced him directly. The only destruction we've brought is to your ability to terrorize innocent species. The only chaos we've created is in your rigid, oppressive system of control. The debate went on for hours, with species taking sides based on their own experiences. With the Dominion, but something important was happening. For the first time in centuries, the Council was actually debating instead of simply accepting Dominion demands. Meanwhile, Major Kevin Ross was training Alliance officers in human military doctrine at a secret base in the Outer Territories. Representatives from dozens of species came to learn the new tactics that had defeated the supposedly invincible Dominion. The most important lesson Kevin told his students, is that there are no rules in war except victory and defeat. Everything else is just tradition, and tradition can be changed. The students learned about combined arms tactics, where different types of forces work together in unexpected ways. They studied guerrilla warfare, psychological operations, and information warfare. Most importantly, they learned to think creatively instead of following standard procedures. Dr. Susan White established the Galactic Strategic Institute on a neutral world where human and alien scholars worked together to develop new approaches to military science. The Institute became a symbol of the new cooperation between species. The Dominion tried to respond to these changes, but they were fighting against something they didn't understand. Their entire military structure was based on rigid hierarchy and predictable tactics. They couldn't adapt quickly enough to counter human innovation. Captain Danny Price became the first human appointed to the Galactic Defense Council, the military leadership body of the Free Worlds Alliance. His appointment was controversial. Many alien officers thought humans were too new to galactic society to hold such important positions. Danny proved them wrong during the liberation of the Corvin sector, where he led a combined fleet of 60 ships against a Dominion stronghold. Using tactics that combined human creativity with alien technology, his forces achieved victory with minimal casualties. The psychological impact of these victories was enormous. Across the galaxy, species that had lived under Dominion rule for generations began to believe that change was possible. Resistance movements grew stronger, supported by weapons and training provided by the Alliance. The Dominion found itself fighting a war on multiple fronts for the first time in centuries. Their forces were spread thin, trying to suppress rebellions while also defending against Alliance attacks. The rigid command structure that had been their strength became a weakness as they struggled to respond to rapidly changing situations. 6 months after the Earth battle, the strategic balance of the galaxy had completely shifted. The Free Worlds Alliance was advancing on all fronts, liberating system after system. The Dominion coalition was retreating for the first time in living memory. But everyone knew the war was not over. The Dominion still controlled the core systems of the galaxy, and they were preparing for a final, desperate counterattack. The ultimate test of human tactics and galactic unity was yet to come. The stage was set for the final battle that would determine the future of the galaxy. And at the center of it all were the humans who had changed everything simply by refusing to fight the way everyone expected them to. The final battle for the galaxy began in the Dominion's home system, a fortress of worlds that had never been threatened in over 1,000 years. Fleet Admiral Chris Morgan stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, looking at the massive enemy fleet that blocked their path to victory. 3,000 Dominion ships, reported his tactical officer. Every vessel they have left in the galaxy. Chris nodded calmly. The Free Worlds Alliance had brought 2,000 ships of their own, including 500 human vessels. The odds were still against them, but the humans had learned that numbers weren't everything in warfare. All ships, this is Admiral Morgan. He broadcast to the combined fleet. Today we end 3 centuries of tyranny. Today we show the galaxy that freedom is stronger than fear. The Alliance fleet was unlike anything that had ever existed in galactic history. Human ships flew alongside. Kalani cruisers, Vorthan fighters, and vessels from dozens of other species. But they weren't just fighting together. They were fighting as one unified force, using tactics that combined the best ideas from every species. Captain Danny Price commanded the left wing of the attack, leading a mixed force of human and alien vessels. His flagship, the USS Endeavour, was the same ship that had first discovered the monitoring station and started this whole war. Dr. Susan White watched the battle from the Galactic Strategic Institute, which had been moved to a safe location. Behind the battle lines, she was analyzing the engagement in real time, looking for patterns and opportunities that the field commanders might miss. The Dominion opened the battle with their traditional tactics, a massive frontal assault designed to overwhelm the enemy through superior firepower. But the Alliance was ready for this. Instead of meeting the attack head-on, they scattered in all directions. Phase 1 complete, Chris reported. Dominion fleet is pursuing individual groups. Beginning Phase 2. Phase 2 was the most dangerous part of the human battle plan. Small Alliance groups led the Dominion ships into carefully prepared ambush zones, where hidden forces waited with new weapons that Dr. Pete Johnson had developed. These weapons combined human engineering with alien technology in ways that shouldn't have been possible. Kinetic projectiles that could penetrate any known energy shield. Computer viruses that could spread through entire fleets in minutes. Most importantly, psychological warfare techniques that could turn the Dominion's own rigid discipline against them. Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner led a squadron of stealth fighters deep into Dominion space, targeting their command and control systems. His ships were invisible to normal sensors, using human-developed cloaking technology that the aliens had never imagined. All command ships identified, Alex reported. Beginning infiltration protocol. The infiltration protocol was Alex's masterpiece, a computer virus that didn't just disrupt enemy systems, but actually took control of them. Within minutes, Dominion ships began receiving false orders, turning to attack their own allies instead of the Alliance fleet. Dominion formation is breaking apart, reported Captain Rachel Stone from her position, coordinating the Alliance Center. Their ships are firing on each other. But the real breakthrough came when Sergeant Nicole Harper's Special Forces team reached the Dominion's Central Command Station. This massive space fortress controlled all Dominion military operations across the galaxy. Capturing it would end the war instantly. Nicole's team had learned from every battle they had fought. They moved through the station like ghosts, using maintenance tunnels and service corridors that the Dominion had never considered as attack routes. They turned the station's own security systems against the defenders, creating chaos and confusion. Security systems compromised, Nicole reported as her team reached the Central Command Center. Dominion admirals are trapped in their own fortress. The psychological impact on the Dominion fleet was immediate and devastating. For 1,000 years, their commanders had never been threatened in their own stronghold. The idea that primitive humans could penetrate their most secure facility was more shocking than any military defeat. Supreme Admiral Vexter, the leader of all Dominion forces, found himself surrounded by human Marines in his own command center. He had expected to die in glorious battle, not be captured by creatures he considered barely civilized. "Your tactics have no honor," Vexter said to Nicole as she placed him under arrest. "Honor is a luxury," Nicole replied. "Victory is a necessity." With their supreme commander captured and their command systems compromised, the Dominion fleet began to surrender. But Fleet Admiral Morgan knew the war wasn't truly over until the Dominion's political leadership also accepted defeat. Dr. Susan White had been studying Dominion society throughout the war, and she understood something important about their culture. The Dominion wasn't just a military alliance. It was a rigid social system based on the idea that some species were naturally superior to others. Admiral Morgan, Susan broadcast from the Strategic Institute. The Dominion Council is requesting negotiations. But this is our chance to do more than just win the war. We can change the entire structure of galactic society. The negotiations took place on a neutral space station, with representatives from every major species in the galaxy. President Diana Hayes led the human delegation, supported by Alliance leaders, and even some former Dominion species who had switched sides during the war. The Dominion Council was desperate. Their military had been defeated, their empire was collapsing, and rebellions were breaking out on dozens of worlds. But they still tried to maintain their position of superiority. "We are willing to accept a temporary ceasefire," announced High Consular Zarthik. "But the natural order of the galaxy cannot be changed. Some species are meant to lead, others to follow." Diana stood to respond, and her words were broadcast across the entire galaxy. "The only natural order is the one we choose to create. For too long, this galaxy has been divided by artificial hierarchies and false superiority. Today, that ends." She gestured to the mixed human and alien delegations around her. "We propose a new galactic government based on cooperation instead of domination. Every species will have a voice. Every world will have the right to self-determination. And military force will be used only to defend freedom, never to destroy it." The negotiations continued for weeks, but the outcome was never really in doubt. The Dominion had lost not just the war, but also the political support they needed to maintain their empire. Species after species declared independence or joined the new Galactic Federation that Diana had proposed. Captain Danny Price was appointed as the first human Secretary General of the Galactic Defense Force, the new military organization that would protect the Federation. His first order was to begin integrating human tactical doctrine into the training of all Federation forces. Major Kevin Ross established military academies on dozens of worlds, teaching the principles of creative warfare to officers from every species. The rigid, predictable tactics that had dominated galactic warfare for centuries were replaced by flexible, adaptive strategies. Dr. Pete Johnson became the head of the new Galactic Technology Sharing Initiative, working to spread advanced technology to all Federation worlds. The old system where advanced species hoarded their knowledge was replaced by open cooperation and mutual advancement. The war officially ended 1 year after the first human contact with the monitoring station. The ceremony took place on Earth, with representatives from over 300 species attending. The Dominion Coalition was dissolved, replaced by the Galactic Federation of Free Worlds. Fleet Admiral Chris Morgan gave the closing speech at the ceremony. 1 year ago, humanity was unknown to the galaxy. Today, we stand together as partners in peace. This transformation happened not because humans are superior to other species, but because we were willing to think differently. He looked out at the crowd of humans and aliens who had fought together to achieve victory. "The greatest lesson of this war is that diversity is strength. When different species work together, sharing their unique perspectives and abilities, there is no challenge that cannot be overcome." The galaxy settled into a new era of peace and cooperation. Earth became the diplomatic center of the Federation, with humanity serving as mediators and strategic advisors. The brutal wars that had raged for centuries were replaced by peaceful competition and mutual advancement. But perhaps the most important change was in how galactic society viewed intelligence and capability. The old system had measured species by their technology and military power. The new system recognized that wisdom, creativity, and moral courage were just as valuable as advanced weapons or faster-than-light travel. Years later, when historians studied the war that changed the galaxy, they identified the moment when everything shifted. It wasn't when the humans won their first battle, or when they developed new tactics, or even when they captured the Dominion leadership. The turning point was when humanity refused to accept that they were too primitive to matter. By believing in themselves and fighting for their right to exist, they inspired others to believe in the possibility of change. They proved that sometimes the most powerful weapon in war is the simple refusal to give up. The cosmos had indeed been shocked when humanity joined the battle. But the greatest shock was not their military prowess or technological